Another Jets front office staff member leaves, and tonight we are going to break down the defensive tackle position. Who do the Jets have? Who can they acquire both in the draft and free agency? Plus 3 now, plus trivia. You know how the deal goes. But it is Wednesday night, and we are live. And welcome everybody to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Wa2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to check out the channel. And this is always pretty much the highlight of the show is the Wednesday night live show. And I get to see what's on your mind, and you get to hear what's on mine, and we go back and forth. It's what makes it a whole heck of a lot of fun. I know we got people joining from all different parts of the country. We've got our usual Arkansas, Florida, New York combination. Probably some other states I don't even know about. But hey, if you want to, put down in the comments where you are tonight. As you all know, I am here in the studio apartment in Newport News, Virginia. No, I am not in a hotel room for a change, which it seems like it's where a lot of my recording has taken place lately. But if you know about the whole Zach Wilson situation, it was not a Best Western, thank goodness. All right, well, we're going to get into that in a little bit. Wow, we've got somebody from Japan in the chat tonight. Thank you so much for joining. We have gone international. We already had New Zealand. Well, we already had Braden, probably a couple of others, but I think this is our first foray into actual Asia. So that is fantastic to see. I'm thrilled to see it. All right, well, let's talk about what's on my mind. We're going to get into the Jets in a little bit, but first we got to do a little bit of 3 and out. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a little basketball with the New York Knicks. Whole lot of stuff going on here right now. They defeat the Memphis Grizzlies 123-113 on Tuesday. Memphis was missing a whole lot of players, including Ja Morant. They're down to 18 and 33. And this was not an easy night for the Knicks. They led by 28 points at one point during the game. That lead eventually shrank down to 4. And with 5 minutes to go, Jalen Brunson, who is the Knicks' everything, their heart, their soul, their warrior, their mind, everything, he goes down with an ankle injury. Now, he did walk off, no crutches, no walking boot when he was leaving the Garden. And the expectation is right now he's questionable for the next game against Dallas. But if you have to hold him out for a game or two, you know what? You got to do it. But still, no Julius Randle, no Mitchell Robinson, no OG Anunoby. The Knicks are still down a whole lot of power, not to mention Quentin Grimes and Jericho Sims. They're out also. All right, and Josh Hart gets hurt again. His knee is barking up. So other players had to step up, and they did. Dante DiVincenzo, my fellow Italian, 32 points. Isaiah Hartenstein at center with 17 points and 8 rebounds. Knicks shot very well, over 55% from the floor. They're winners of 10 of their last 11 games. Now, here's the thing. The trade deadline is Thursday. The Knicks, they're a very good team, but can they compete with Boston and Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference at the very, very top? That remains to be seen. But one thing I do believe they will need is a playmaker who can back up Jalen Brunson in case he is hurt or if he ever needs to take a breather. So hopefully they can get that kind of a player. But we look, there's 4 games left before the All-Star break. The Knicks have Dallas and Indiana at home before they go to Houston and Orlando before the much-needed 8-game All-Star break. Now, the other news that came out that OG Anunoby, he'd been missing a couple of games because of elbow inflammation. That's the way they phrased it. Well, we got a little more news on that. It's actually a bone spur that is inflamed in his elbow. So the idea right now is to go with cortisone, anti-inflammatories, and try to make it heal that way. It should not require surgery, but if it does, that's going to cost him 4 to 6 weeks. So he has been fantastic since he's been here. But, the losing him for 4 to 6 weeks, that would be very, very rough, no doubt about it. All right, on to the sport of hockey with the Colorado Avalanche and the New Jersey Devils. Devils with a very impressive 5-3 win the other night. It was their first game since January 27th. Now, this was the night for a defenseman to score some goals. Devils led 3-1 in the third period. Just over 8 minutes in, both Cale Makar and Samuel Girard score 29 seconds apart to tie the game. And then the Devils have a defenseman of their own named John Marino, scores late in the third, and they had an empty net goal. They get a 5-3 win over a very good Colorado team. So the Devils remain tied for fifth in the Metropolitan Division with Pittsburgh. They're 5 points out of the last wild card spot. They should be getting their star player Jack Hughes back in the near future. He'd been basically considered week to week, but he should be back in the near future. And they host struggling Calgary Thursday night. But you know what? Those are both very good stories. But as of a few minutes ago, well, I just got to play this music just 1 second. All right. The New York Rangers defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning at home 3-1. You know that this is their third straight victory. They came off a very impressive win over Colorado a couple of nights ago. And tonight they faced Tampa Bay, winners of 3 straight games. It was Jonathan Quick in goal for the third straight game. But I didn't think this was so much about the goaltending. And a lot of people have been making a big deal. Shesterkin, Quick, who's going to get the bulk of the playing time? But this was more about the Rangers defense stepping up. Jonathan Quick only had to make 18 saves. Jimmy Vesey opens the scoring with his 10th goal of the season, a perfect backhand. One of probably the scary moment of the game, though, was Lightning defenseman Mikhail Sergachev going down with a very serious leg injury. He had to be carted out. We hope he's okay. But Johnny Brodzinski scores late in the second period. I felt that the Lightning were really out of it for most of the second period. They were in a bit of a funk after Sergachev went down. They only had 4 shots on goal in the entire second period. But they come out much stronger in the third period. Brandon Hagel cuts the deficit to 2-1. And then with just over 4 minutes to go in the game, Mika Zibanejad takes the Rangers' only penalty of the game, a very questionable call, but they absolutely they kill that penalty. The Lightning hit one post on that power play, but other than that, the Rangers really dominated it. Jimmy Vesey scores his second goal of the game, an empty netter. All 3 of these goals coming from the bottom 2 lines of the Rangers forwards. Their third straight win. They are now 6 points up on the Carolina Hurricanes, and they're heading out to my old stomping grounds of Chicago, Illinois on Friday. Rangers at Blackhawks. It should be a good one. All right, well, we're going to I think we need to change the color here. So we're going to flip it right now over from blue to green because it is time to get out of the 3 and out, and we are going to talk a little New York Jets football. So you know what that means. Let's play it. Let's say it loud. There you go. Jets, Jets. That's right. So we're going to be talking a whole lot about defensive tackle tonight. That's going to be their focus. I've been doing my studying, been doing my research, and I've got a few players that I'm going to profile. Actually, a lot of players that we're going to profile tonight. But before we do that, I want to say a couple of quick hellos to people in the chat. Just highlight a couple really quick. Matthias Simon was the first one. He was here about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. Matthias is one dedicated son of a gun. We've got the great Yuki Matsui here from Yokohama, Japan. I try to be the man. I appreciate the compliment, and I appreciate you stopping by today. We got the great Wild Wave as here. What's up to you, my friend? I'm glad that you made some time for us as well tonight. All right, well, let's tell you what. Let's talk a little bit about what's in the news right now with the New York Jets. It just came down about 2 or 3 hours ago that Vice President of Player Personnel Chad Alexander is leaving the Jets. Basically, Joe Douglas has now lost both his right-hand man and his left-hand man in Rex Hogan, and now Chad Alexander. Alexander will be leaving for a promotion with the Chargers front office. He is now taking an assistant general manager job. I've seen a few Jets fans, a few overly negative Jets fans saying they're getting off the Titanic. Look, we don't know what job Rex Hogan's going to take. That we don't know. But Chad Alexander had a chance to be promoted. One question I do have: why didn't the Jets promote him? Why didn't the Jets make him the assistant general manager? That's the thing I can't understand. So that is my biggest cause for concern, because the Jets could have promoted Chad Alexander after Rex Hogan left. It didn't happen. He goes to the Chargers. So that to me is a little bit unsettling. As far as who they replace them with, who knows? I'm not going to claim to be an expert on the up-and-coming executives around the league. It will be interesting to see if they go internal or external, because if they go, I would think internal, because I think a lot of people know that this is a make or break year, and people from an outside organization are not going to want to come in and go to an organization where things can be a little bit shaky, where there is that potential. So, yeah, can I give you names? No, but my instinct would be I think it's internal over external. Billy SBC is here. Isn't talking about defensive tackle at a time like this like shopping for eggs and bread in the middle of a nuclear war? Billy, my friend, there are more than two things to fix. And besides, we got a whole lot of time before the draft. We got a long off season. So why not break it all down? We already did wide receiver. That was a big position. We talked quarterback. Believe me, I'm going to be spending 2 weeks on the offensive line. I know that, but there is still a team to build here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why we're talking about defensive tackle tonight, because it does matter. It is going to make a difference. All right, but I appreciate you saying it, but hey, we're trying to build a team here, and I want it to be as good as it can in as many places as possible. All right, so let's start. Oh, and by the way, I did get a nice little laugh out of the as far as Zach Wilson goes. You know what? With the trade rumors, I could see the trade happening after free agency, after a bunch of quarterbacks get signed, and then some teams like, oh, we didn't get a quarterback. Let's get somebody. And then the trade is made shortly before the draft. So I don't think it's going to happen for a little while, maybe late March, early April, maybe around the same time frame that the Aaron Rodgers trade went down. But 2 weeks in a Best Western. That was one harsh analogy. The great Rusty Spooner is here, the originator and the proprietor of Rusty's Diamonds. Rusty knows about those under-the-radar draft gems, and I'm going to talk about that. We're going to get into free agency, then we're going to talk about the draft. I've ranked a bunch of these guys, and I assure you, Mr. Sweat and Mr. Jackson and Mr. Cox, you're interested in Sweat and Cox, Rusty? Is that what you're saying here? Okay. Hey, you do you, bro. All right. It was just too easy. All right. But now we are going to talk about what the Jets actually have. You remember how depressing this was last week when all we had to talk about was Garrett Wilson and a bunch of absolute scrubs? Well, in this case, it's not a whole heck of a lot different, because the Jets have, returning in 2024, the great Quinnen Williams. Played 17 games, the number 3 rated interior lineman in all of professional football. He had 39 solo tackles, 11 tackles for a loss, did have 7 missed tackles, but 20 quarterback hits, 5.5 sacks, had a 90.4 run defense grade. That is the best in the National Football League among defensive tackles. So we know what Quinnen is. We know he's a stud. I thought he was doubled quite a bit this year, where teams were determined to not let Quinnen Williams make the difference, and that opened things up for other players like Bryce Huff, like John Franklin Myers, like Jermaine Johnson, and guys like that. So at this point, you have to wonder about that. You love Quinnen. I thought he was super, super productive, but who else does he have on the other side of him? Rusty, what could I do? I couldn't help myself. Rusty says, give Denver our 3rd and Zach Wilson for their 2nd. You know what? I like the idea. These tend to be the kind of trades that Joe Douglas makes, give something and an asset for a better draft pick. If that's the kind of move it turns into, basically this would be the reverse of the Elijah Moore trade, wouldn't it now? Yeah, because that was basically the trade that the Jets made. It was more in a third to get another second round pick, which eventually went in the Aaron Rodgers trade. So if that's what it comes to, I'm fine. Hey, I would rather do that than just get a 6th-round pick for him. I'll tell you that. So we will see what winds up happening there. But if we look past Quinnen Williams, to be honest with you, we really don't have anything else. We got what else do we have? We have Tanzel Smart coming back on a futures contract. Other than that, everyone's hitting the market. Al Woods, Solomon Thomas, and Quentin Jefferson. All 3 of them are going to be free agents. And I think one thing the Jets are really going to need, and we don't really talk about this, is a legitimate run-stopping defensive tackle. I know Quinnen does it very well, but he's still only going to play about 2/3 of the time. You need another one the way this coaching staff rotates their defensive linemen. So just give me a number about Al Woods. Not that I want him back. I don't. But you need a younger version of Al Woods. So when Woods was on the field last year, the Jets allowed 3.1 rushing yards per attempt when he was on the field. When he wasn't on the field, they allowed 4.2 yards per rush. Okay, now his pass rush win rate, on the other hand, Al Woods, out of 158 defensive tackles, 151. Translation, he had no pass rush game at all. He had one job to do, and he did it pretty well. And when he was healthy, he was played quite a bit. He was played on the field about 40% of the time. I think my biggest issue with the defensive line last year, and we talked about this, when the Jets lost Sheldon Rankins, who wound up having a very, very good year for Houston, they signed players who were very one-dimensional. Quentin Jefferson on the pass rushing side, Al Woods from the run defense side. So you would like to get some defensive tackles who have a little bit more versatility than that. So that's kind of the whole deal there. So let's, first of all, we're going to talk free agency. So I am going to load up that slide right now. All right, 10 defensive tackles. Let's try a different view. We'll go with this. Yeah, this looks better, right? 10 defensive tackles the Jets should target in free agency. Now, I want you to know I rank these guys. I rank them by by a couple of things. I rank them by their run rate percentage and their pass rush win rate on true pass sets. Like formations where the defense pretty much can figure it out that it's a passing situation. Okay, so let's look at a couple of players. So number 10, believe it or not, is going to be Quentin Jefferson. And the reason for that is, as much as we liked him, he had a very good season rushing the passer, a 66.2 rush grade in true pass sets, but he had a run defense grade of only 34.6. That's awful. That is just not going to work. Quentin would be good as a pass rushing specialist if he's coming back in sort of a backup role. But, it has to be clear, like 3rd and long situations where you can be pretty confident that the defense is going to run. Is going to throw the ball. So number 10 for me would be Quentin Jefferson. Number 9, believe it or not, is Fletcher Cox. Looking at his production, I felt it really slipped this year. Had a 55.2 run defense grade and a 70.5 true pass set pass rush grade. That's 70.5 total, 125.7. So we're kind of going through these from worst ranking to best ranking is how we're doing it. So Fletcher Cox, to me, I know the Jets have had interest in him for a while, and I could absolutely see a situation where they give him a 1 or 2 year contract. That good veteran presence. I'm not saying I would hate it, but I am saying I believe there are several better options than Fletcher Cox. So let's not get too caught up, because I would have. I definitely would, just by going off the name. The production really fell off this year, so you got to be a little bit careful about that. Actually, we're going to pull let's pull one thing up here on OneDrive. It's been a crazy week with this computer. That's all I can tell you guys. All right, number 8 for me is going to be Grover Stewart from the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Grover Stewart is a very, very good run stopper, has a 72.8 grade in 2023. Nothing to sneeze at there at all. Oh, man. I may have to get a little bit creative here, but if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. Let's go to the draft one. And his pass rushing, not quite as exciting, 62.8. That's a 135.4 grade overall. Let's see, I know I've got some more notes about the wide receivers here. I'm going to find them somehow. Hey. Okay. Yep, they're making unfortunately, when the technology doesn't work, guys, you sort of have to improvise a little bit, so I may have to do that tonight. All right, Grover Stewart's number 8. I had a few more notes, but I can't find some of them, so this sucks. Number 7 is going to be Tyre Tart from Tennessee. I know Dom C really likes him a lot. He would really like to see him come to the Jets, and he was with Tennessee this past year and had a run defense grade of 60. True pass set rush grade of 76.4. This is hard. True pass set rush grade. I know I can pronounce it. 136.4. He did have some issues with being late. There's some questions about his attitude, and his numbers did fall off a little bit, not too different than Fletcher Cox from 2022 to 2023. So you do have to keep that in mind as well. All right, so then we're going to go to number 6, and it's Shelby Harris from the Denver Broncos. This one interests me quite a bit. Run defense grade 76.8, pass rush grade 71.7. That's a 148.5. Really liked what he did. He's a little bit older. I had all their ages listed too, man. This is ridiculous. You know what, guys? I'm going to take one quick second here. I'm going to pull something up here and see if I can make this work, because I know I had a bunch of numbers here, and I feel like I'm not giving you everything that I want to be able to give you here. So let me see what I can do. Yeah. Appreciate everybody's patience, but yeah, OneDrive's been a complete pain in the ass this week. So yeah, so I've got to I got to get a little bit creative with what I have to work with. Video. There we go. Okay, I think I've got what I want. And I'm getting all these markup notes. This is ridiculous. Yeah, it's just getting me all this shit I don't want. All right. Well, somehow the stuff I wanted got lost. Okay. All right, we'll just roll with what we have. All right, no big deal. All right, Shelby Harris is my number 6. I had things listed, tackle, something like that, but all that crap seems to be gone. Number 5 is Daquan Jones from the Buffalo Bills. He has a 149 total grade, 69.6 against the run, and 79.4 with the pass rush. Hey, GVH, good to see you as well. Yep, Quinn Jefferson, I thought, was one of the best free agent signings that the Jets had this year. I know that's not saying a whole lot, but it worked out. It worked out well, and I would like to bring him back as well, but I think it has to be maybe he's like that third defensive tackle as opposed to the second one. Because, again, very, very vulnerable in run defense. And, teams ran it down our throats a lot, and I don't want to see that happen again next year. So Daquan Jones would be my number 5. Plus, anytime you have a chance to weaken a division rival, why not do it? Number 4, I think this is a player that people just aren't really talking about, and it's Maurice Hurst from the Cleveland Browns. Really, really good numbers. We talk a lot about the Cleveland defense and how good they are. You'll hear Dalvin Tomlinson. You'll hear about JOK at linebacker. Certainly Myles Garrett, all the cornerbacks that they have. But this is one of those gems that people I don't think really know much about. And Maurice Hurst, a 76.5 run defense grade and a 76.7 pass rush grade for a total of 153.2. So that was a pretty impressive number. If Maurice Hurst shakes loose, I think you could get him for a pretty low cost. So I'd be interested in that. I even had contract projections out here, and now they're disappearing on me. Man. Number 3, Christian Wilkins from the Miami Dolphins. Now, again, the way I'm ranking this is the total score. He would probably be my number 1 or number 2 target because, look at it this way, the Miami Dolphins are $55 million over the salary cap. They're in other words, they indeed do. Okay, but Wilkins gambled on himself, took a 1-year deal to stay with Miami, and he bet on himself that he would have a great season, and he absolutely did. 78.5 run defense grade, 75.7 pass rush grade as well, a 154.2 total grade Wow, I don't know if he's going to hit the market, but I think he might because Miami's got to figure out they got to do some cap management. I know they're going to want to keep him, but can they? It's going to be a very, very big question. Number 2, this one might surprise you a little bit, but when you look at just the production, it's Calais Campbell from Atlanta. The Jets were very interested in him last offseason. He went to Atlanta. In fact, I think he just won the Humanitarian of the Year award for the NFL for community involvement. So much credit to him. But an 81.3 run defense grade. This guy stopped the run in its tracks. And he was still rushing the passer pretty well. A 77.5 grade. That's a 158.8 total grade. Not bad at all. I'm gonna have to go back here to the. I gotta go back here for 1 second because I hope I have all the stuff that I want because man, I had some really good stuff here. Oh man, if this stuff disappeared on me, I'm gonna be pissed off. Oh, original. I know what I got to do. There it is. Okay. I had no markup, and it's got to be original. The markups on Microsoft Word, screw these things. Okay, but at least now I have the notes I want. All right, I'll just save them for the draft. We're far enough into the free agency thing where I think we'll just roll with it. Okay, so Calais Campbell, a 158.8 total grade. I really like what I'm seeing from him. I know he's really old. He's about 37, 38 years old, but he is absolutely fantastic, and he can help give some leadership to that defense as well. So I like him very much. But my number 1 is DJ Reader from the Cincinnati Bengals, 76.1 run defense grade, 86.8 pass rush grade, a 162.9 overall score. That is the top score that I have for any of these defensive tackles. If Cincinnati lets him get loose, I don't even think guys like Chris Jones are going to be an option, or the Baltimore defensive tackle as well, Justin, the last name I can't pronounce. Chris Jones to me is never shaken loose from Kansas City, and even if he did, I don't know if it makes sense for the Jets to invest that money in him when they really have to invest that capital in their offense, as we all know. But DJ Reader, that would be a dream come true to get him. It would be unbelievable if the Jets could pull that one off. All right, so I'm going to have to work out a little thing here with the configuration on my computer here because usually I keep a tablet here where I'm doing my notes. But in this case, I don't quite have what I would normally be working with. So I'm going to have to pull Microsoft Word and do sort of a side-by-side on my computer. So, hey, when technology doesn't work the way you want it to, you just sort of roll with it and you make the best of it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so that is it for free agency. Now what we're going to do is talk draft. And I'm going to give you a lot here. I've got 17 defensive tackles that the Jets can target later in the draft. Now, the way that I broke this down, I broke it down by 1 techniques, 3 techniques, and 5 techniques. So with the 1 techniques, we're looking at that really traditional run stopper, the one that's playing, in between the guard and the center. With the 3 technique, I think this is what we're going to be focused on the most. But that's going to be the player lined up between the guard and the tackle. And then just for fun, I put in a couple of 5 techniques, a couple of players who are versatile enough to possibly play more inside, but mainly they'd probably be, I don't want to say edges, pure edges, but sort of that hybrid between a defensive tackle and an edge rusher. Think that John Franklin Myers sort of role where you have a good amount of versatility, or what they would like to have with Michael Clements. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do here. All right. All right, I got to slide this over so I can read my notes while I'm doing this with y'all. Okay, so let's get started with the 1 technique. So these are going to be the biggest boys of all, really the traditional run stoppers. And, there'll be a couple of guys that we don't talk about, the ones who are at the absolute top of the list. We're not going to talk about Johnny Newton from Illinois, guys like that, because they're going to go – I'm only looking at guys really from like the bottom of the second round on. That's what we're really going to focus on here. All right, just like I didn't talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. with wide receiver because the Jets are never going to have a chance to get him. We're going to look at guys who make sense. GVH with a good point. Was eating dinner when you shared the 10 to 5, but got to think we promote Tanzel, re-signed Solomon, draft or get 10-5 defensive tackle. We'll have to rewatch. And you know what? I think Tanzel is just always going to be what he is. If he's on the roster full-time, he's going to have to take a major, major jump because he's been in limbo for years now. But if I had been on one coming back, yeah, it probably would be Solomon Thomas. I thought he actually played very, very well for the Jets, especially in the run-stopping game when Al Woods went out. Wasn't as good as maybe we would have ideally liked, but considering the role we expected from him, I thought he did step up, and I will give him credit for that. Okay, so I'm going to give you 4 one techniques with all kinds of ranges from sleepers to guys you might take towards the top. The first player I'm going to talk about here is, there we go, Christian Boyd from the Northern Iowa University. Now, there's a couple of things that I really like about Boyd. First of all, his size and strength. He's 6'2", 320 pounds, did really, really well at the Shrine Bowl, wasn't at the Senior Bowl. He's a really big interior presence. He can collapse the pocket, plays the run game very well, and there's no team in the league that can't use some of that on their roster. But he showed off a lot of play strength, a lot of athleticism, and a very quick first step, and I think that's going to have him climbing some draft boards. So his first step is very quick. He gets off the line of scrimmage very well, and the thing, even with his size, he comes out with a very flat back, so he gets very good leverage. He anchors well, and he's difficult to move. So it'll typically take, Typically, it takes 2 blockers to really, really neutralize him. Not only that, he's got a great motor. It's a relentless motor. Takes very good angles to ball carriers. On the negative side, though, he can over-pursue a little bit with ball carriers. It's not a major issue, but his pass rushing arsenal is pretty consistent. Oh, hey, Dom C. Good to see you, man. That's right. I'm like a Dom C in training over here. No, he's got his style and I got mine. The difference is I can only do it from the internet. He gets to go to Alabama. Because he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. It's always interesting to see. You watch film, you read these scouting reports, and sometimes your opinion can be quite different than somebody else who's watching the same stuff. But I try to look for a good sleeper, and to me, Christian Boyd is one. Not the best competition did he go against in Northern Iowa, and he's a little bit slow to reach the quarterback. He had only 1 sack last year, but you know what? He did a good job of freeing up other pass rushers to help collapse the pocket. So what you're seeing here is a very good run defender and a decent pass rusher who has room to grow. I think this is the type of player that they could acquire in the 7th round of the draft. All right. So and remember, if the Jets are probably going to have 3 comp picks, that's what we're expecting. Most likely 2 of them at least will be in the 7th. Maybe 1 gets into the 6th. But you got to look at some guys that maybe you could take in the 7th round. Christian Boyd's one of them. Okay, let's go on to number 2, and that's going to be Jordan Jefferson from LSU, primarily West Virginia, but towards the end he did move over to the Tigers. We'll be seeing a whole lot of LSU players here today. But Jefferson, 6'3", 323 pounds. If you want a fast run stopper, this is it. He ran a 4.7 40. That is in the 99th percentile of all defensive tackles. So he played 12 games and 379 snaps for the Tigers last year, 16 tackles, 17 assisted tackles, and 13 run stops. As a pass rusher, 6 total pressures, including 4 quarterback hurries and 2 sacks. So here's the thing with Jefferson. He holds very well against double teams against the run. Very good lower body leverage, just like Boyd. I like his spin move, though. I think he's a little bit more refined as a pass rusher than a lot of these other guys are going to be, than your typical one technique will be. What I don't like as much, he plays a little bit tall. That's going to limit his pass rushing. And he's not as flexible and fluid. When you've got that lineman, you want somebody who can move very smoothly and very efficiently. He's a little bit stiff in that way in his legs. So he may be suited to early downs. This is more of a run defender than a pass rusher. I think he's going to go around the 4th round or so. And I'm definitely looking at players at the 4th round since the Jets have 2 of those picks in the draft. All right, now we're going to move on. I've got 2 more that I want to highlight, and one was already mentioned in the comments. McKinley Jackson from Texas A&M, 6'2", 331 pounds. Wow, 55 pass rush pressures and 9 sacks through his career in College Station. It's pretty good for a 0 technique or a 1 technique. 4-year starter, team captain, went to the Senior Bowl. All very good qualities. You know, if you're a team captain and you went to the Senior Bowl, that's a pretty good sign that the Jets might be interested. This is a little bit of a Kalijah Kancey, but bigger. Very good at penetrating the gaps. I love his explosiveness. He's going to get off the line very quickly, especially for a guy pushing 330 pounds. Very physical, sets the edge well in the run game. Very, very strong hands. He knows how to use those hands, and he will help any team's run defense immediately. His pass rush skills, they can develop in time. Now, he's got kind of a compact build to him, but like I said, he sets the edges well. He can knock off blocks pretty well. That's really with his arms, those big, strong arms, natural leverage, has a strong core as well. Now, the issue with him, he has good hands, but he doesn't use them very consistently. There have been too many times he lets the blockers get into his chest, and then he can't seem to get loose. Okay, and so also you want him to expand his pass rush arsenal. You know, right now it's really all about power, and that can work to a point in the NFL, but it works a lot better in college. I think Jackson is going to go late in the second round, or sometime in the third round. So I think Jackson could be there for the Jets in the third round. So that's something to watch out for. And my number one technique is T'Vondre Sweat from Texas. Oh my goodness, he is amazing. I probably watched film on about 20 defensive tackles in the last couple days. He was one of maybe 2 or 3 where several times I was just whoa. It happened to me several times. GVH makes a good point. Here's where you hope white cotton coaching comes through. Hey, if there's any position that where the Jets would draft them and you have raw ability but needs a little bit of refinement, wouldn't you want it to be defensive line with Aaron White-Cotton? Because I sure would. I'd feel very confident about that. And hey, oh yeah, Marquand Manuel is interviewing with the Cowboys for the defensive coordinator position, as is Rex Ryan. You know, I hope Rex gets the job. Just on a side note, I would love to see Rex in Dallas. I not that I've ever rooted for the Cowboys, really, but if anything could, it'd be Rex Ryan being on the Cowboys. Oh my goodness! But T'Vondre Sweat, 6'4", 350 pounds. He's basically a building out there. In 2023, 45 tackles, 2 sacks. 5 pass breakups. He even blocked a field goal, which was returned for a touchdown. And from what I heard, he dominated in the Senior Bowl. Now, to take the Jets defense to the next level, you have to up the run defense. Sweat is going to be an absolute beast in this area. He basically is impossible to move off his mark. He is incredibly strong, has very, very long arms. He knows how to use them to his advantage. His tackling is about as sure a thing as you could ever imagine. If anything, if I had to take one knock at him, it's probably his acceleration. But when you're 350 plus pounds, you know, you're not exactly going to be winning the 100-meter sprint, right? But Sweat to me is not going to drop any further than the second round. Might go sooner, but some of the mock drafts I've seen, he's going second round, maybe even early third. But if he gets to the Jets, I mean, I don't care who they get the first round. You have a chance to draft T'Vondre Sweat. To me, you do it. I think it would be absolutely a home run pick. So that's it for the 1 techniques. Now let's go on to the 3 techniques. Oh, and by the way, of course, we will be doing trivia a little bit later tonight, and I'll be watching for your likes. So remember, 15 likes, we spin the wheel later tonight. All right. So the 3 techniques, I'm leaving off a couple of players. I'm leaving off Jerzon Newton or Johnny Newton from Illinois, Byron Murphy from Texas, Leonard Taylor from Miami. All of those guys I expect to go in the first round or maybe early in the second. All right. But I'm going to give you a lot, and I mean a lot of 3 techniques because I really think this is where it would go to. Rusty Spooner asks a good question. Would you trade Huff to get Sweat in the second? I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. If I'm trading Bryce, here's the thing. I would rather just keep Bryce Huff because I feel like I could get a defensive tackle later. I would probably say no to this. Because if I'm trading Bryce Huff, that's all well and good, but I'm doing it to improve the offense because that's what needs the help. You know, there have been some reports that a trade is not likely for Bryce Huff, you know, the tag and trade. But if it happens, I want a second-round pick, and I want that extra pick to use on the offensive line or to use at wide receiver. I'm not looking to replace Bryce Huff. I know they play different positions, but I'm not replacing him with another defensive lineman. I'm not going to go for that. I would love to get him, but not at the expense of Bryce Huff. I want that for the offense. Okay, let's talk about some defensive tackles. And again, we're looking at some sleepers here as well, some guys we can get later on. One I saw was Marcus Harris from Auburn, 6'3", 295 pounds. He was at the Senior Bowl. And he's got some real pros and some real cons. So out of 187 defensive linemen, with at least 200 run defense snaps, he had an 87.4 run defense grade. That ranked number 1 in the country. All right, so he's very good at this. He had a 10.2 run stop rate. That ranks 8th in the country. Hank G is like 30th here tonight as opposed to his usual 1st or 2nd. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. All right. With Harris, though, very violent hands, knows how to use them very, very well. He's forceful with his upper body. He defeats blocks, and he hustles. He's very good at hustling. What you don't like, doesn't have a whole lot of size at 6'3", 295. He's a little bit prone to missing tackles. That is a bit of a concern. He had a 14.6 missed tackle rate, so that puts him, I think, 117th overall. That's not so good. As a pass rusher, he had 24 pressures with 16 quarterback hurries and 7 sacks, a 7.2% pressure rate, which is pretty good, but he does need to refine his pass rush moves. He has more to learn as opposed to, because a lot of these defensive tackles I notice, they're really about the bull rush, just power, but not a lot of them counter, not a lot of them have like quick moves, like the moves of a Will McDonald, so that's something that you have to think about. Marcus Harris, as far as projection, I would say 6th round. And of course the Jets are going to have a couple of picks in the 7th. Maybe he falls. Every year there's a couple of players that we think would go 4th round, 3rd, 4th round or whatever, and they don't even get picked. Kenny Abo is the first name that comes to mind for me. Isaiah Dunn's another one. So Marcus Harris is my number 9. My number 8, we're going to go to the land of the Seminoles, to Fabian Lovett from Florida State, 6'3", 307 pounds. Now, as a 5th-year senior in 2023, he played 11 games, 10 tackles, 12 assists, 3 run stops. And as a pass rusher, he had 6 total pressures and 1 sack. So if I had to define him, it's like he's very springy. Very springy. He has good bursts with his feet, very light feet, and he gives, I would say, adequate run support, and he's a pretty good pass rusher as well. Very, very active hands, very violent as well. And he's very good at disengaging with blockers and making counters when his initial move doesn't work. He's quick to react and locate the football, and he has enough speed off the line of scrimmage to startle an offensive lineman. So he's got some pretty good explosiveness, good initial speed. What I don't necessarily love about him is his closing speed. He's not necessarily going to chase players down. Most of the sacks that I saw him get, or quarterback hits, were coverage sacks, where he had time to chase down the quarterback from behind. And that quickness off the snap, it's good, but it's a little inconsistent. And that's what's really preventing him from being an elite pass rusher. And also, we've got to prove his hand placement and the technique. He's got violent hands. He's got very active hands, but he's got to control them. He has to learn how to use them properly. Okay, so that's Fabian Lovett. My projection on him would be 4th round, maybe the 5th round. All right, so this wouldn't be a bad pickup. Number 7 for me is Keith Randolph, Johnny Newton's counterpart, the other member of the law firm, as they call it. They actually have T-shirts of Newton and Randolph called the law firm. All right, so Randolph is the other one, 6'3", 296 pounds. He was a 5th-year senior, played 10 games, 541 snaps, added 29 tackles, 16 assists, 19 run stops. As a pass rusher, 13 total pressures with 8 quarterback hurries. That's pretty good. And 3 sacks on the season. He was at the Senior Bowl as well. Now, what I like about him, very good at shedding blocks. He does that well. Strong tackler, very good power with his hands, can anchor well, shed, chase. I like aggressive hands with offensive linemen and defensive linemen. But also he can really dominate shorter interior blockers, and he shows some good speed in pursuit. His coaches, I watched an interview with his head coach at Illinois, and the first thing that he mentioned about Randolph was his high football IQ. They consider Randolph to be very smart, knowing what to do at the right time. And very instinctive. He's got a powerful lower body. the things to knock about him, not great lateral movement. He's good at running, straight forward, but not so much side to side. And he has, again, limited pass rushing moves. I think he's going to go about the 5th round or so. I think there are some questions that the fact that he played next to Newton, who's probably the top defensive tackle in the overall class, people are thinking, okay, how is he going to be once he's not next to Newton anymore? So I think that's one of the biggest questions about Randolph. Now, the next player I want to highlight is Dwayne Carter from Duke. I actually liked him more than I thought I was going to. I actually did. GVH with a quick comment. The law firm of Newton and Randolph. Yeah, this is an actual thing. They do have T-shirts. GVH, you're not going to believe this, but I have not seen Trading Places, but it is on my DVR to watch. I have to watch that movie. I just recorded it. Maybe a Friday night hangout question. Yeah, one day we'll have to break down like Eddie Murphy movies or Dwayne, something like that. That'd be pretty good. Swig of water for the working man and woman. All right, Dwayne Carter. I think this is a player that the Jets would like for a number of reasons. Number one, he has the last name Carter. That's first and foremost. Yeah, you're welcome, man. No. Team captain of Duke. If you're a team captain at Duke, you got to be pretty smart. You've earned it, okay? Was at the Senior Bowl, had a pretty good showing there. Now, he was a fifth-year senior in 2023, played 12 games, 548 snaps for the Blue Devils, 19 tackles, 10 assists, 15 run stops, and as a pass rusher, 22 total pressures with 17 quarterback hurries, 3 hits, and 2 sacks on the season. Let me also throw in 2022, 11 tackles for a loss, 5.5 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. Carter makes results. I like him. Carter plays with very good leverage, brings good power, especially in that lower body. Very, very powerful legs. He holds up very well against double teams in the run game. Okay, one blocker is not going to be enough to stop Dwayne Carter in the running game. He's good at keeping his eyes in the backfield, and he can move linemen to either side with his hands. The issues with Carter, he doesn't really have the skill set to bend very well. He's very good at attacking gaps as a pass rusher, but he's not so much going to beat you around. He needs to beat you running over you. Okay, and he does have better lateral movements than some of the other prospects we talked about, but he doesn't have the best closing speed when he's chasing in pursuit. I think this is a low-end starter for right now. He's good at just about everything. Jack of all trades, master of, and maybe not a master of anything, but I think Carter could fall to the Jets in the fourth round. Or if they get a 5th-round pick, I think they could get him there. So if Carter falls into the 4th round, I think the Jets would go after him. I think he is a lot of what they would really want. All right, that's number 6. Let's go on to the top 5. And I got to say, 6 through 5 and 4, they're all very, very close for me. The next one for me is Mekhi Wingo from LSU. I told you we'd have a couple of Tigers on the countdown tonight. 6'1", 295 pounds, not the ideal size. In 2023, played 7 games as a junior, 344 snaps, 13 tackles, 6 assists, 8 run stops. Rushing the passer, 14 pressures, 3 sacks, and 9 quarterback hurries. He's not big, but he's got really good speed. He can play inside, he can play outside. So if you want, more of a versatile lineman, you have that with him. He can play 3 technique, he can play 5 technique. Got a nice compact build, but he's very crafty on the edge. So he can play against the run and he can rush the passer. Good closing speed. Yeah, we mentioned good closing speed. He can knock off blocks. He's got a good core as well. Very strong arms. I liked his tackling. When he gets his hands on you, you go down. Mekhi Wingo, to me, is a very, very reliable tackler. Jets fans, I'm sure you saw the name Mekhi, and you might have had a little cold shiver go through your body. I understand, it's natural, but Mekhi Wingo can tackle very, very well. The issues I have, he's not very explosive getting off the line of scrimmage. He's much better in space than he is on the line, but that can be coached. And his arms are maybe a little bit shorter than you would want. I think he goes late 2nd, early 3rd round, but I've seen some projections where he could go in the 4th as well. I would be a little surprised if he gets past day 2. Okay. Oh my gosh, this thing just one moment. Back to original. Microsoft Word is trying to sabotage our show tonight, but we are not going to let them do that. All right. Wingo, okay, very good. Let's go on to our next 3 technique, and it's going to be Tyler Davis from Clemson. He's been getting a lot of attention in the mock drafts. I think a lot of Jets fans are interested in him as well. I certainly would be. 6'2", 299 pounds, although he plays bigger than 299. He's big and he's reliable. All right, a dominant run defender inside. He got a 90.8 grade from Pro Football Focus last year. How about this? 1 missed tackle all season. 1 missed tackle all season. Amazing. All right. Very disruptive. Plays very, very, very well. I like how physical he is, not just with his hands, but with his legs as well. He just knows how to split double teams. It's like it's that sort of situation where you can actually see the offensive lineman starting to struggle against him, and then boom, he just rolls right past him. But here's the other thing I like about Davis. He still has enough quickness, lateral speed, that he can play the 1 technique, the 3 technique, and the 5 technique, and he can work in any of those situations. Davis is an absolute weapon that can be used anywhere on the defensive line. Now, the pass rushing ability is a little limited. He's another one of those bull rush or bust guys, so he can push the pocket, but he doesn't have many counters. Like, he doesn't really have a swim move or that sort of a thing, so he's going to have to learn that. Again, Aaron Whitecotton, he could teach him that. And he's got shorter arms, so he has to work to make sure that the blockers, don't get into his chest and wipe him out. I think that Davis lands somewhere late day 2, early day 3, and I think right now for a 2-down player, that's pretty fair. So I think this is an ideal fit for the Jets in round 4, assuming they address the offense with their earlier draft capital. So, I'd say 4th round. Yeah, I think 4th round. I think I said 4th, 5th. I'm going to go 4th round for TD there. All right, a couple of more. Mason Smith from LSU. This one's a little bit controversial. Our latest LSU prospect, 6'4", 310 pounds. My biggest concern with him, tore his ACL in 2022. Not good. But in 2023, he did play 11 games, 532 snaps, 16 tackles, 6 assists, 12 run stops. As a pass rusher, had 19 total pressures, 2 quarterback hits, 2 sacks, and 15 hurries. He's really a great athlete. I love his closing bursts. He could chase down a running back if he needs to. Okay, very quick in those really short bursts. He does enough to finish plays. Very good motor. Loves the physicality. He craves physical play. And he could generally win in those phone booth situations against an offensive lineman. But again, you got to be worried about any kind of an injury history where it's a knee. And I think one thing he could do better is play a little bit lower, that lower pad level. That would improve his balance and enhance his game a little bit further. And I'd say the other thing, a little bit of more straight line speed can help him be more effective in pursuit. I've seen comparisons to Calais Campbell. So, if you have the chance to get a Calais Campbell, you do that. I would expect Smith to go 3rd round, 4th round here. I could see a situation where a team takes a chance on the upside, but I could also see a situation where enough teams are scared off by him that they wait until day 3 to pick him up. So that's number 3. So we got 2 more of these 3 techniques. Then we're going to go on to the 5 techniques. I got a few more of those for you too. Number 2 for me is Braden Fisk from Florida State. 6'4", 301 pounds. Our second Florida State player on the list. So our latest 5th-year senior. A lot of 5th-year seniors on this list, aren't there? Well, he played 12 games, 737 snaps, the highest that we've seen so far. 40 tackles. 14 assists, 36 stops, 45 pressures as a pass rusher, including 8 sacks and 5 quarterback hits. So he can play the run and the pass very, very effectively. He knows how to get to the ball. The way David Harris always used to find a way to get to the football, that's what Fisk can do. He's very quick off the snap in the pass rush, great off the line of scrimmage, knows how to use those heavy hands very aggressively and rock an offensive lineman backwards. Very good inside counter moves on the pass rush as well. And he knows when to use those counters as the play goes on. Very, very smart lineman. So there is a lot to like about Fisk, with the pass rush moves and the ability to play the pass and the rush. Quick GVH sending a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Got to put the kid to sleep. Yep, dude, thanks so much for watching. Hey, be sure to come back a little bit later. Come back tomorrow and check out the trivia. It will be in remembrance of a Jet that we lost this week. So I'll give you that. I'm going to give you all that clue right now. But the thing with Fisk, he plays a little bit upright, so he could struggle with leverage at times. So he has to play a little bit lower. And the other thing I didn't like, he needs a little bit of help with the tackling. Okay, so even when he gets his hands on the ball carrier, I saw they would slip loose at times. So I need to see better tackling from him. But I think as far as playing the rush and the passer, he does it very well. I think he's going in the third round. I definitely think he's going to be gone at that point. My fellow Virginia Jets fan, the great Johnny Jimenez, is here. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, we're talking about defensive tackles tonight. We've talked about the 1 techniques, and now we're on the 3 techniques. We've got 9 on this list. So we got 4 1 techniques, 9 3 techniques, and 4 5 techniques. So it's a 4-9-4, and right now we're about to finish the 9 off. All right. So that's my number 2. My number 1 is a Tiger. But not an LSU Tiger. No. From Clemson. I just wanted a chance to say his name. Rook Orororu. I'm going to go watch Scooby-Doo after the show is over. 6'4", 295 pounds from Nigeria. Johnny, give me Sweat from Texas. Hey, he's my number 1 technique if we could actually get him. Yep, I rated him number 1. I absolutely did. So another fifth-year senior, played 12 games. 409 snaps for the Tigers, 15 tackles, 17 run stops. As a pass rusher, 24 pressures, 15 quarterback hurries, 4 hits, and 5 sacks. So Aurora is a 3-year starter at Clemson. He played all over the line, outside, inside, leave me alone, inside, outs. Okay, breaking out a Who song. Anyway, but he played all over the line. And even though he's very tall at 6'4", he's got a very powerful lower body. He plays with great leverage for his height. Very, very flexible. Amazing motor. Good at locating the ball. Makes good plays against the run. Excellent play strength. He's got these really big, broad shoulders, and he uses them as a battering ram as opposed to using his hands. So I love his strength and his versatility. I think his upside is super, super high. He does need to get past the line of scrimmage to really be effective, though. When he's in space, he's really, really good. Now, very mentally raw, has not played as much football as some of these other guys have, but he has so much talent. He's got a strong base that's going to hold up against power. He's been able to take on college double teams and win. His draft stock is a little hard to place. I've seen him as high as the 2nd round, and I've seen him as low as the 4th round, guys. I think he'll settle in the middle. I'm going to say early 3rd round, but with some coaching, I think a team is going to love the combination of pass rush production and ability against the run. So I really like Rook a lot, and I think whoever gets him is going to be very happy that they got him. All right, let's move on to the 5 techniques as well. I don't know if the Jets are going to be able to get one of these players, but I did want to highlight a couple of players. You know, you never know. I could see the Jets being one of those teams that's going to draft an edge rusher every single draft. You know, because they always want to keep that pipeline going. I'm going to talk about Gabe Hall. And this is a player I think who would go rather late in the draft, 6th round, 7th round. 6'6", 290 pounds, had a pretty good Senior Bowl from what I heard. I believe that Dom liked what he saw from him a little bit. But also a 5th-year senior, played 12 games, 523 snaps for the Bears, 15 tackles, 7 assists, 13 run stops. Now, as a pass rusher, he had, 21 pressures, 19 quarterback hurries, and 2 sacks. So this is a pretty versatile, a pretty instinctive pass rusher who does a little bit of everything. You know, this is like your solid B to C student. Gets a B or C in every grade, brings home that report card. You know what I mean? But very agile, has nimble footwork, good body control, very light on the feet. He can fight through the whistle, and he's always chirping. He's always going at full speed. He's got a really, really aggressive motor. You know, you're going to love his effort and determination. If he doesn't make it in the NFL, it won't be for a lack of effort. But the concern is he is very undersized. He doesn't have the bulk and girth that you would want from an interior lineman. It's going to be very scheme specific. He would have to be in a certain 4-3 defense. The 3-4 would never work for him. Okay, and he's still a little bit raw as a pass rusher, needs to diversify his pass rush moves like a lot of these guys do. So when I watched him, it was really weird. It was like I would see him, he'd be tied up with an offensive lineman, but then boom, he'd just be right past them and in the pocket. It's not like I saw anything where it's like, oh, I could see what Hall did. It's like he just figured out a way to get right past them, just with straight quickness is basically what he had to give. So that's Gabe Hall. I don't think he's going to go until the 6th round, maybe the 7th. But if you're looking to pick somebody up late with one of the comp picks, this is the type of player that you could go after. All right, another player who I'm pretty interested in from Alabama is Justin Aboigbe, 6'4", 292. So this year, as a senior, 13 games, 605 snaps for the Crimson Tide, had 28 tackles, 20 assists, 27 run stops. So he had a lot of run stops. Did very, very well. He was also very productive as a pass rusher, too. 28 pressures, 17 quarterback hurries, 4 hits, and 7 sacks. Now, I would say he's a little bit better of a run defender than he is a pass rusher. He's very athletic for his size, light feet. When he's running straight ahead, he's got very, very notable speed, has that loose, fluid body that you really would like to see, can bend, can play with leverage very, very well. And he can really be molded to be a 3 technique, a 5 technique, or an edge rusher. So if you want to make him that 3 technique, you could do that. I see him playing on the edge. I see him succeeding there a little bit more in the NFL because I think his speed is going to be more of a weapon in the NFL. But I think he's going to be very effective in that way. I think he had a little bit of stiffness with lack of fluidity when trying to bend the edge. Sometimes he gets pushed past the pocket, and that takes him back out of the play. So the biggest thing he has to do is learn to play within himself, not be over-aggressive, because he can get a little bit out of control and work himself away from the action, and a smart tackle could just redirect him away from the play. Now, as far as the draft projection, I've seen 2nd round, I've seen 5th round with him. I think he goes 3rd to 4th round. I think the combination of run and pass is just too good to pass up. So I like Aboigbe quite a bit. I'm going to give you 2 more. We've got Michael Hall from Ohio State. This is a guy I think who could slip. 6'2", 285. As a junior this past year, played 11 games, 14 tackles, 6 assists, 14 run stops. As a pass rusher, did pretty well. 26 total pressures, 19 quarterback hurries, 5 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks. He had a great Senior Bowl week from what I've heard. Showed great burst, great first step quickness that you don't really see from a defensive tackle. He's got very, very high potential, but this is going to be more of a pass rusher. Great frame, wide base, that low center of gravity so he can hold his ground against single blockers, and then he's got the strength in his upper body to shed those blockers. Very, very good motor, locates the ball well, especially against the run. He can struggle to hold his ground against the double team. A lot of times his instinct is to roll away to make the play, and that can create a hole in the defense. So he's got to learn to play within himself and sometimes just hold the double team and let his teammates make the difference. The other issue I have is injuries. He's had 2 major injuries since his senior year of high school. I don't know if he's a 3-down player just yet. I think he has to play a little bit more. He has to learn a little bit more. But I think he would have to really find his fit in the NFL. He's going to be another one of those scheme-specific type of players. I think somebody takes a chance on him late in the 2nd round, maybe early in the 3rd. So that's Michael Hall. And number 1 for me after Ohio State, I got to go to Michigan, and it's Chris Jenkins Jr. Of course, it's got to be Chris Jenkins. 6'3", 295, named 2nd team All Big Ten, started 33 games this year. Now, he didn't play much. He only played 418 snaps. That's not a lot. But he had 40 pressures, 4 sacks, and 74 stops over the last 2 seasons, over 29 games. Chris Jenkins at this point is more of a run stopper. He's kind of like the opposite of Michael Hall. Very explosive off the snap, both laterally and vertically. Dominant strength. And even though he's not, I don't think he was really freed up to be a pass rusher at Michigan, but he still got 16 pressures and 2.5 sacks this past season. But he is elite against the run, even against double teams. He's got solid stance, really good strength, plays with good leverage. He has the hand strength that we want. He's got the technique to know how to use those hands very, very well. And he's also got a very slick swim move to break free from blocks, and that helps when he's coming across the line. Okay, now to climb up in the draft, he's got to boost his pass rush game. He doesn't really have the leg drive to collapse the pocket. He's a lot stronger in the upper body than the lower body. Okay, so he's strong and athletic against the run, but he's got to prove himself a little bit more against the pass. All right, so that is what we're looking at. So that is our breakdown tonight. So that was 17 defensive linemen that the Jets potentially might be able to look at. So I hope that gives everybody a little bit of feels a little bit more knowledgeable about the defensive tackle position than they did before, and so I hope everybody enjoyed that. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, it is 11:04. That's right. It is that time every week when I go deep into the basement at WA2K99 Studios and I come up with a question, a trivia question designed to stump you, the loyal, passionate Jets fan. Are you ready for it tonight? Well, you better be, because I am. So let's cue up Jets Trivia. All right. Now, we all know how this is going to work. And by the way, we have 15 likes, so we will be spinning the wheel tonight as well. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Okay, so with the trivia, we know what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I'm going to ask you a question about the Jets, and I really wanted to do a question sort of like in remembrance of Rich Castor, the Jets wide receiver who sadly passed away earlier this week. I believe he was 75 years old, but he made 3 Pro Bowls. He was sort of that original wide receiver, tight end hybrid player before it was even a thing. So I wanted to do a question for Rich Castor. All right, so here is the question for tonight. Rich Castor was drafted from Jackson State, just like Walter Payton was, and played 55 games as a New York Jet. Named the only player drafted from Jackson State who played more games for the Jets. So this was a Jets draft pick, and he came from Jackson State and played more games as a Jet than Rich Castor did. All right, so only looking for one name tonight, guys. I don't know if I'm going to play the music, by the way, because every time I do it, I get a copyright thing. I don't get a strike, but it's like I can't monetize the video because of the music. So yeah, until they realize I've actually downloaded the music, they're giving me a lot of BS. But maybe I'll be able to do it next week. But I don't want any more copyright emails coming from YouTube, even though I did legally download the song. So, all right. So, name the Jet drafted from Jackson State who played more games than Rich Castor. Yeah, like I said, Walter Payton played college ball at Jackson State. It's an HBCU is Jackson State down in Mississippi. I will tell you this: he was a David D. Hum the song. Maybe I'll do like one quick. Let's do one quick hit of it. Just see if they give us an issue of this one. Okay. Hopefully that'll be enough to avoid any copyright issues. All right, guys. Hopefully this isn't too hard of a question, but I want to do something for Rich Castor this week. So I don't see any guesses yet. By the way, it is not Lee Cravat. Jimbo. All right. Oh, by the way, while we're doing this, we could talk a little Super Bowl afterwards if we want. Right now, I'm thinking, of course, I'll do my preview video, but right now, my initial thought is Kansas City 30, San Francisco 23. I think Kansas City has the edge in too many departments. I want to see San Francisco run. They have a lot of players on that team that I like. And, I want to see Kyle Shanahan win a Super Bowl. He's part of the 2 teams that have blown the 2 biggest leads in Super Bowl history. So I would like to see San Francisco win. Let's see. He was a defensive player. You're going to have to go back a little ways for this one. This is an older defensive player. And unfortunately, he left the Jets sort of like as he was entering his prime to go to another team. But yeah, you're going to have to go back quite a few years for this particular player. But defensive player, I think he won the Super Bowl with the Jets. If he didn't, then he came right after they won the Super Bowl. But I do think he won the Super Bowl. Wild Wave, no. This is outside the 05 to 23 years. Next week, I promise you, I will do a little bit of an easier question, a more recent question. But yeah, this week I had to make an exception. So thanks for understanding, man. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to draw this one out too long because I think we're going to want to get to the wheel. This is a really good player the Jets let go. I think they let him go to Washington, and he became a really, really good player over there. This was one of those players that it was really unfortunate the Jets lost, that they let go. This was just one of the many, many mistakes they made back then with players. For all the good things Weeb Ewbank did, he was very, very cheap as a general manager. He let quite a few good players go, and quite a few good players left or just retired, like George Sauer, because Weeb wouldn't pay. Weeb would not pay well. And this particular player is a prime example of it. All right. I don't know if we're going to have any guesses tonight, unfortunately. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the answer to this one. The correct answer is Verlin Biggs, the defensive tackle. Left the Jets to go to Washington. He played 71 games for the Jets. I think he played 5 years with the Jets, and then he moved on to the Redskins. All right. So that is it as far as the trivia goes. Okay. Well, let's move on from the trivia. We're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. So let's see. I got to get it loaded up here. We need like opening theme music for the wheel, don't we? Yeah, I got to get some more music. Going on. All right, let's dismiss the clock. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We got to hit present, and I'm going to share the screen and hit allow, and there we go. Okay, so the wheel should now be maximized. All right, so we're going to do the 100 random jet wheel tonight, and you all know how this is going to go. We are going to spin the wheel 10 times and rank our jets 1 through 10, and we're going to do it as we go along. Now, last time we did this, we had some really, really good names. Yeah, I mean, we had quite a few like Ring of Honor members on that particular list. So let's see how well we do tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Let's go with spin number 1. Here we go. All right, our first spin lands on. Just speaking of Jets draft pick bust, we got Blair Thomas. Ouch. One of the worst number 2 picks one of the worst picks the Jets have ever made. Amazing at fumbling the ball, and of course they passed on Emmitt Smith to draft Blair Thomas. Oh, am I frozen? Uh-oh. I'm watching the screen and I think I'm frozen. I hope everybody can hear me. Let's do a quick thing here. Okay, yeah, we should not frozen? Okay, then it just must be YouTube. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right, cool. All right, let's pull the wheel back up then. Okay. All right, thank you, Arkansas. All right. Blair Thomas. Okay, so I got a couple of people going for 9. Okay. Right now, 9 appears to be in the lead. If anybody else has a vote, get it on in right now. All right, let's go with it. Blair Thomas will be number 9. All right. Let's go on and spin again. Spin number 2. Here we go. And it's going to land on Quincy Enunwa. Yep, part of the Idzik 12, pretty much the only draft pick from there that actually worked out. But unfortunately, career cut short due to injury, but made a nice impact in the games he actually did play. All right, Blair Thomas is number 9. So where are we going to put Quincy? I see a vote for number 7. I think that makes sense. Let's see what the other folks have to say tonight. Yep, sevens appear to be in the lead at this point. Yeah, I know we got more people in the chat, so yeah, feel free to vote. It's okay. Just throw a number down. We're not going to make fun of you. Maybe. All right. All right. Right now the sevens are in the lead. Sevens going once. Sevens going twice. And sold. All right. Quincy and Nunwo will be our number 7. I think that seems like a fair spot for number 81. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to spin number 3. Here we go. And it is going to stop on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay. Well, this one's going to be kind of a difficult one. Had one absolutely fantastic season when he nearly rewrote the Jets' single-season record book for quarterbacks, all-time high in yards, touchdowns. But week 17, it did not work out, as we know well. Then he held out to try to get a contract. He got it, came back, and he stunk. All right, well, this will be interesting. I could see him 5, 6, or 8. Pretty much any one of those numbers I think would make sense. But let's see what the chat has to say. All right, looking at all the people in the chat commenting, we're right now in that 5 to 6 range. Okay. All right, I see you guys. Yeah, I think right now, I'd put him about the same level as Quincy with just like a little bit more upside. I think I would go, here's the thing, are we going to get 5 Jets who are better? Yeah, you know what, I think we might have a chance. I think we could go 5 or 6, but I'm going to go with 6 here. I'm going to break the tie. All right. So we got Fitzy at 6, Quincy at 7, and Blair Thomas at 9. Let's spin the wheel. Number 4. And it's coming to a stop on Victor Green. Oh, very, very good safety for the Jets. Had a very good career. He was there like 11, 12 years. Had a very good run with the Jets. Yeah, I think he's definitely going to make it in our top 5, but where is he going to go? I think I have a number in mind, but chat, remember, this is your list. We do this list together, so where are we going to put Victor Green? Number 21, I believe he wore. I think it was 21. So let's see what the chat has to say. I see a 3. I see another 3. I was thinking 4 myself, but all right, the 3s are in the lead right now. Okay. All right, fair enough. All right, I think we'll go. All right, we'll go with Victor Green as a 3. All right, I can get with it. Okay, let's keep going. Spin number 5. Here we go. And the wheel comes to a stop on, this one looks good, Randy Rasmussen, guard who played more games for the Jets than any other offensive lineman, was with the Jets for, I believe, 14 seasons. And I think an inaugural member of the Jets Ring of Honor. All right, we can't put him at 3. I think that would have been a decent number for him, but where are we going to put him? 1, 2, 4, 5. Yeah, I can't imagine we're putting him at 8 or 10. I don't think that would be very fitting, but where are we going to put double R? Yeah, this is going to be a good one. I feel like you can make the case for 2 or for 4, really, with Randy Rasmussen. I don't know if I'd make him a 1, but I think 2 or 4 are both fair. So, yeah, so let's see what y'all have to say. All right, looks like right now we're kind of splitting the difference right now. Looks like we got about an even split between the 2 and the 4. All right. All right. You know what, Rasmussen, concerning he had the longevity, I'm going to give him the number 2 spot. Okay, so we got Randy Rasmussen at 2. We've got Victor Green at 3. Ryan Fitz. Oh! We have a late vote. Oh, okay. Matthias Simon coming in with. We just had a few new ballots that were found. Oh gosh, yes, they were just they were just magically discovered, and they were for Randy Rasmussen at the number 4 spot. All right, it will be Rasmussen at number 4. Okay, so we got spots 3, 4, 6, 7, and 9 taken. We have 1, 2, 5, 8, and 10 left. We're halfway home, guys. Let's go to spin number 6. Wild Wave, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, Browning freaking Nagel. Okay, guys, it'll be a simple question. Number 8 or number 10? It's going to be one or the other. Oh, my gosh. Yep. Yeah, well, we're going to talk a little bit about him next week, as a matter of fact, for a number of reasons. But, yeah, the Jets were one pick away from, they were going to trade up 2 spots to draft Brett Favre, and they couldn't pull off the trade with Arizona, and Atlanta wound up taking him. And then with the next spot, the Jets take the immortal Browning Nagel, who was a great preseason quarterback. He was like the original Chris Streveler, except with a whole lot more hype. Yep, I think this one's pretty unanimous. Browning Nagel is number 10. He's like a repeat offender at number 10, isn't he? Okay. All right, here we go. Hopefully no more busts. We got 4 spots left, guys. Here we go. Spin number 7. And by the way, while we're doing this, I want to say a special shout out, rest in peace, Toby Keith, one of the greatest of all time. Yeah, been playing his music most of the day today. XM on the Prime Country station has been playing all Toby Keith today, and he will be missed. All right, the great Al Toon. Wild Wave, yes, we almost traded for Brett Favre in the draft. He was the number 1 player on our board. We didn't have a first-round pick that year. I'll tell you the whole story next week, but we didn't have the first-round pick because the supplemental pick, we drafted Rob Moore as a wide receiver. And the Jets felt they'd have to move up a couple of spots to draft him, and they couldn't pull off the trade, and Atlanta took him. Yeah, but the Jets had the right idea, but it just didn't work out. But again, who knows if he would have worked out in New York, considering what he was at the time, how much he loved the nightlife. Maybe it wouldn't have worked out for him in New York. Something to keep in mind. So Al Toon, all right, I see a 1. He could be a 1, but you might make him a 2. You might make him number 2. Thank you. I'll be here all weekend. Thank you. I'm a very sick person. I'm aware of that. I think next week, and we will be getting to the offensive line in the coming weeks, but I feel like that's such a big deal that I want to save it for a little bit later. But in the near future, we'll be talk about the running backs a little bit as well, because the Jets definitely need a backup running back. But, yeah, definitely in the next, I'd say, 2 weeks, we'll do either interior offensive line or offensive tackle. We will do one of those positions. So you'll definitely want to be here for that. And believe me, I will be doing some hard research on these guys. There's so many questions about who the Jets are going to take. All right, looks like number 2 is going to have the edge. So Al Toon will be our number 2. And I think that's the right spot for him. I think we're going to be able to do one better than Al Toon. I really do. Wild Wave, wasn't Michael Irvin and Jerry Rice in the same draft? No, Irvin was a little bit later. Jerry Rice was drafted like in 84, 85. Michael Irvin wasn't drafted, I think, until Jimmy Johnson was with the Cowboys. So that would have been 88 or 89. So that was a few years later. But, yeah, the Jets did take Al Toon over Jerry Rice. I believe that is true. Yeah, and 2 was very, very good, but Jerry Rice is Jerry Rice. But, hey, maybe the Jets this year will draft Brendan Rice. Jerry Rice's son's going to be in the draft, and he looked pretty good in the Senior Bowl, and he might be kind of a later pick. So maybe they draft the other Rice. All right, we have spots 1, 5, and 8 left to go. Here we go, spin number 8. And it's coming to a stop on somebody on Al Toon's counterpart. It's Wesley Walker, another fantastic wide receiver who played with basically one eye for most of his career. An amazing, amazing deep threat. I believe averaged over like 20 yards per reception, and definitely had a longer career than Al Toon. For me, I would be fine making him my number 1 pick overall, and then we just take the chance we don't get any great Jets for the rest of this list. But yeah, personally, I would put Wesley Walker at number 1, but you could put him at number 5, or you could put him at number 8 if you wish. Yep, it looks like the chat is all in agreement. Wesley Walker will be number 1. All right. Quick recap on where we are. Number 1, Wesley Walker. Number 2, Al Toon. Number 3, Victor Green. This has a very 80s feel to it. Number 4, Randy Rasmussen. Number 6, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Number 7, Quincy Enunwa. Number 9, Blair Thomas. Number 10, Browning Nagel. We have 5 and 8 remaining. All right, here we go. I think we're off to a great we're doing great so far. Let's see if we can ace it. Spin number 9. Here it comes. And this is going to come to a stop on Jamal Adams, who on his social media account is putting up pictures of him wearing the green and white again. I'll tell you what, guys. I know the exit was bad, but he was a difference maker for the Jets when he was on the field. We can't deny that. Here's the bottom line. 5 and 8 are open. Number 6 is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Number 7 is Quincy Enunwa. Would you rate Jamal Adams as a better Jet than them or a worse Jet than them? And again, I guess I know Matthias is laughing. He put him a 0. It really depends how much you're putting in the on the field versus off the field. If you're factoring in the off the field, then I can understand it. But if you're looking at the on-field production with the Jets, you can't deny that Jamal was a very effective player for them. All right, we got a 5. We got a couple of 8s. Right now, the 8s seem to be in the lead. 8s have the slight edge. I'll give it another moment, but I think the 8s are probably gonna win this. You know, I would say this. I don't think Daniel Jones was ever the same since Jamal Adams took his soul when he just snatched the football right out of his hands and ran it in for a touchdown that one time. All right. Well, it looks like the number 8, the 8s have the advantage, so I'm gonna make Jamal Adams number 8. All right, so now all we're looking for now is just a good Jet. A good Jet. Not a great Jet, not a terrible Jet, but just a decent, fine, upstanding wearer of the green and white. In between Randy Rasmussen and Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think we could do it, but let's see what winds up happening. This is our final spin for the night, guys. Spin number 10. Here we go. Where's it going to stop? Where's it going to stop? It stops on Randy Rasmussen again, which means we've got one more spin. Now I make the executive decision that it is a respin. Here we go. One more time. Spin number 10, take 2. And it's coming to a stop on... Oh, hell. Well, on that note, all I can say is this. No. Wayne the Turnstile Hunter, the original Billy Turner. I would probably make Wayne Hunter my number. I would have rated him below Blair Thomas. He would have been my number 9 or 10. We cannot call this one a win. Wayne Hunter. Ah, man. Yep, Matthias Simon. Yep, Let's go back to your comments, guys. He pretty much said it all there. Yeah. Hang G, we came very, very close, my friend. We truly, truly did. But yeah, we were just looking for a decent Jet. And deep in my mind, I was like, we're either going to get a Ring of Honor guy or we're going to get a bust. It's like we never end with just an average player, you know. And in this case, we ended with oh my gosh, so close yet so far away, my friend. All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for the night. I'm going to be getting up pretty early on Thursday for the next couple of weeks. Got a 5-mile race I'll be training for, and also I do plasma donations on Thursday. So Thursday mornings are very heavy for me before I go into work. So, yeah, I think we're going to call it for the night. But I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Again, please like if you haven't already. Share it with a friend who might be interested. The subscriptions are doing really, really well, by the way, and I thank you guys for that. We're at 832 subscribers. So the march to 900 is well underway and hopefully to 1,000. And if you are a fan of the New York Mets, I did a video earlier tonight about their search for a designated hitter. What team is going to give them the most competition for one? Talked about that. Also in the near future, coming up this weekend, I'll be posting my Super Bowl preview video. Watch for that on probably Saturday, late Friday night, maybe Saturday. And we'll be doing a series called the Mets Prospect Profiles. I'm going to rank, to me, the top 20 Mets prospects rank them from 20 all the way to number 1, and that'll be released in a series of videos. The first one will drop this weekend as well. Well, everybody, I hope everybody enjoys the Super Bowl if you're watching. And if you're not watching, still have some great food. Have a great time. Enjoy the weekend and take some time to relax this weekend and take some time to count your blessings. Why not? Because without football, we got a lot of time on our hands. All right, everybody. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. We'll see you later, everybody.